Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay, there we go. Good afternoon. My name is Darnell Fulham. I've had the pleasure of serving as the fire chief of DeKalb County for the last 11 years. I am now the incoming director of public safety, and it's my honor that was given to me by the chairwoman, Dr. Bolton, to open up the meeting. And so on behalf of Dr. Bolton, thank you so much for having this opportunity. We have also with us Commissioner Johnson and Commissioner Marita Davis Johnson. My name, once again, is Darnell Fulham. I've served here for the 11 years. I've now moved into the position of the public safety director. Outgoing is Director Lumpkin. I'll let him have an opportunity to introduce himself.
My name is Joseph Jack Lumpkin, and I have served as your public safety director for approximately the last 8 years. As the director here says, and you'll have a fine director, as you know. He was the chief of the year in Georgia as a fire chief a few years ago. We welcome you, public, to our ERPS committee, chaired by Dr. Bolton, and we have visiting today our District 7 Super Commissioner, Mr. Terry, a member, Ms. Johnson, a member, Ms. Johnson, Davis Johnson, and of course our District 1 Commissioner Patrick, excuse me.
Wonderful, and thank you so much. I want to iterate the reason that we have our directors opening our ERPS meeting, which is Employee Relations and Public Safety, because it's very rare we have an opportunity to have both the ingoing and outgoing directors together. And what better time for them to join together as in this time, which is the very first ERPS meeting of the year. So it's an honor to have both of you with us. Director Lumpkin, we are grateful for your years of service. Congratulations on your retirement. And Director Fulham, it's been amazing serving with you over the past year, and we look forward to all of the great work we will do in the future. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Okay. Director Lumpkin. Mm-hmm. And Director Fulham. I'd just like to take 1 minute and say to Director Lumpkin, it has truly been a pleasure serving with you for these past 8 years. I think you were a tremendous choice. I think you brought so much value to public service during the time that you were here. And I just want you to know that I appreciate your service. I'm sure that we'll see you in the future, and do enjoy your retirement. Now, Director Fuller, you know, you look very good today. And that blue and that red. And so Zach's gonna have to step up his game, you know, because, you know, we got two handsome young men serving in the administration. But in all seriousness, we expect you to do great things. You've done great things as the fire chief. I'm sure that you will do great things as the Director of Public Safety, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
May I say one thing? I was teasing him earlier. What he'll have to get used to without that uniform, the young people and kids will not run up to him.
I know that's right.
That was the biggest
I know that's
adjustment
right.
for me taking that police uniform off.
I know that's
Wonderful.
right.
All right, that was such a pleasure. I'm glad I was the chair and able to pull that together. That feels amazing. Would you like to say something as well?
I will just ditto. I'm so appreciative of the work Director Lumpkin has done for the county and looking forward to what Director Fulham will do. It's going to take me a minute to stop calling him chief. He is looking clean today. So we're just really excited to see all the great changes going in our law enforcement community in DeKalb County. We're very excited.
All right, and with that, we're going to go ahead. I'm sorry, did you want to say something? You sure? Okay. This is your
I
committee.
mean, he's looking so clean, he don't even want to say thank you to her, huh?
This is your committee, Director. Okay. Well, with that in mind, we are going to go ahead and jump right into our agenda, which is not very long at all. Beginning with the minutes, item 2026-0126, all commission districts, minutes for the December 15, 2025 Employee Relations and Public Safety Committee. Do we have a motion for this item?
Move to approve item 0126.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Recommendation for approval. Moving down to new agenda items. Under E911 and Fire Rescue, we have item 2025-1681. All commission districts. Change order number 9 to contract 1010560, computer-aided dispatch system multi-year contract for use by the departments of E911 and Fire Rescue. This contract consists of providing an enhanced CAD system for receiving and responding to the county's emergency 911 calls. This request seeks to rescind $26,392.60 for the STD Enterprise CAD per change order number 8. This request also seeks approval to add 50 additional field ops fire EMS annual subscription licenses awarded to Central Square Technologies, TriTech Software Systems, amount not to exceed $6,000.
Yes, Chair, if I may, I wanted to introduce Deputy Chief Melvin Carter, who's going to serve as the acting chief until further notice. Carter does come to us after, well, he doesn't come to us after, he's still serving 26 years here in DeKalb County. He is also a proud resident of DeKalb, born and raised, and so I just wanted to introduce him to you if you have not met him before.
Wonderful. Thank you for that introduction. Go ahead. You want to share with this item?
Good afternoon. It is a joint item between 911 and Fire Rescue, and basically what Field Ops is the way for our units to use mobile devices to connect to the CAD, which is computer-aided dispatch. And what this does is rescind a portion of that initial, the last change order that was already included in the system. So we're taking that out because it was already included and also adding 50 additional licenses.
Any questions or comments from committee members? Commissioners Patrick or Commissioner Terry? All righty, there are no questions or comments, and with that, do we have a motion for this item?
Move to approve item ending in 1681.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries for recommendation of approval. Thank you so much. And Interim Director Carter. I'm sorry, Chief. Would you like to say something?
Yes, just really excited for this opportunity. As Chief said, I've been here now 26 years with the county. My life is really the only job I've had in my adult life. I'm deeply committed to DeKalb County with everything I have, so I'm looking forward to working with you all and continue to just push the department and the county forward.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
I'm so proud of you.
And
He was in my leadership DeKalb class. I just want you guys to know that, along with Demetrius. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I would just like to tell him you got some deep shoes to step into. You ready for it?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Definitely understand all the great things Chief Fulham has done. So Had the pleasure of being underneath his tutelage for many years now, so definitely understand the challenge, but I'm up for it.
Okay. Well, great, and welcome.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. All right, moving on to the next agenda item for Human Resources and Merit System. This is item 2025-1513, all commission districts. A request for proposals number 2024-10007 for temporary personnel services, a 4-year multi-year contract for use by all DeKalb County departments through the Department of Human Resources and Merit System. Consists of the provision of part-time and full-time temporary personnel positions for DeKalb County on an as-needed basis. The recommended award is to the highest scoring proposers who are responsive and responsible, which is Trifecta Inc., Openwork LLC, and 22nd Century Technologies Inc. The total amount not to exceed $30 million.
And thank you, Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to, just at the outset, with the retirement of Benita Ransom, she retired at the end of 2025, just to announce that our interim Director of Human Resources is Jadia Haynes. Jadia brings a wealth of experience, an outstanding work ethic, and someone that we can definitely rely on. So she will speak to this item along with Director Butler, and I believe there's a substitute that is being provided. Jadia?
Happy New Year, Commissioners.
Happy New Year.
I'm honored to serve as interim HR Director. I have been with the county for 19 years, born and raised right here in Decatur. So definitely an honor and look forward to working with you all closer.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So there is a substitute that I'm going to pass it over to Michelle.
So you guys already received a presentation from Director Haynes on this item. The audit report was released, I believe, yesterday. They found support not for $30 million, but for $24 million. So that's what this substitute is indicating, that the award request is for $24 million. And also you'll notice that there is no longer $10 million allotted to each vendor. That is because historically the usage has been based on county need, and so it is reflecting what the actual historical use will be in the future use, which is as needed.
All right, wonderful. I appreciate that update and that change in the substitute. Any questions, Commissioner Davis-Johnson?
So does that mean that each vendor, will they have an equal share of the $24 million?
No.
Based upon need? Okay, could you explain
They will not
that?
get an equal share. The total amount not to exceed is $24 million for under this particular solicitation result. It's going to be based on need, so we don't know what the max spend will be per vendor. And so the audit report also indicated that as well, because they looked at the historical usage per vendor per month.
Would each of these vendors, do they have expertise in a specific area, or does all of the vendors able to accommodate all needs of the county?
Commissioner, they are, Trifecta does have expertise in IT, information technology.
Okay. But other than that, would all of the vendors have expertise in any area that we need?
Yes, yes. Okay. Trifecta just specializes in IT.
IT, okay. Okay, thank you.
Did you have anything, Commissioner Johnson? Okay, Commissioner Patrick or Commissioner Terry? All right, I did have just one question. So with the other vendors that don't have a specialty, how do you determine whether the temporary employee would come from either of those? Or is it just based on who is most qualified?
We look at who's most qualified and then also the pricing.
Gotcha. Okay. All righty, it seems that there are no other questions or comments. Do we have a motion for this item? I'm sorry, go ahead, Commissioner.
Listen, since you stated, and these bids have been determined by the, I guess, their qualifications and their pricing, could you explain what you mean by their pricing? Wouldn't we know how much their pricing would be?
So each department is given a budget for temporary services. So it's based on the department, their need, and how much they can pay for the position.
Oh, okay.
So there's a pricing schedule per vendor for each job classification.
Okay. And they change from
Every
each
year,
vendor.
there's a small increase each year per vendor.
Okay.
On average, like 2.5%.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. I'm good.
Any other questions or comments? All right, do we have a motion for this substitute?
Yes, I move to approve the substitute for item ending in 1513.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Congratulations, the recommendation is for approval. All right, so we will move on to, actually, I'm going to jump down to Board of Commissioners Super District 6, where we have item 2025-1107, all commission districts. This is a resolution requesting the administration implement a DeKalb County Police Department Community Liaison Program, require hate crimes identification training for law enforcement and for other purposes. And Chief, you have something for us?
Good afternoon. Yes, ma'am. I have copies for the group.
I'll give it And Madam Chair, before the chief begins with the substance of this, what we're looking to do, in a lot of instances where commissioners have developed what have come to be known as urging resolutions, we would like to take a new approach and have more policy statements that we can maybe able to work on collectively. And so what this is going to represent is our first stab, and Chief will talk through at a joint policy statement in terms of how we would address certain issues that have been identified as desired in the specific resolution. So, you know, we want to provide this to you, provide for an opportunity for you to review, comment, and we integrate, and then maybe at the next meeting or shortly thereafter have that final document. But we just want to introduce this as a kind of a joint policy statement. So, Chief.
Thank you. So as Mr. COO said, this is kind of a different approach for us, and I won't read the whole document, but it is a joint statement kind of combining both the approach for the liaison program and the advisory boards. But this policy statement really has the guiding pillars for constitutional policing, and what we wholeheartedly believe in the DeKalb County Police Department is an inclusive and broad-based community engagement program, which we can continue to build upon as we move forward and move with the communities that we serve. And also, understanding the operational integrity, safety, and sustainability of what we're doing each and every day in service to our communities. So with that, this is the statement that we've come up with at this point and offer as a suggestion.
Okay, and well, you know what? I saw your hand. Go ahead, Commissioner Johnson. Did you?
You're with the chair. You can go first.
Okay, well, I just wanted to clarify because I shared with Commissioner Terry and then I shared with you also that it was brought to my attention and yours as well, as is shown in the statement. There was some desire from the community to combine the two of these, as you kind of alluded to. And this policy statement, does it reflect with item 1107 and item 0390, which I didn't read, but is a resolution to establish a community advisory board. This policy statement, is it essentially suggesting that the community advisory board be made of community members who act as liaison for the communities that we look to serve? Is that what you're stating?
It's not stating that specifically.
Okay.
It combines both approaches, and the statement, basically what the statement is doing is putting out our policing policy and our commitment to our community, which is still inclusive of our many community engagement meetings that we do throughout the year. I believe over 170 that we host alone, not to mention the ones that we attend for HOAs and other events, as well as our Citizens Police Academy and our public education approach in general.
Okay. And this policy statement will be housed as a part of your SOPs, or where would this be reflected?
I haven't thought it that far, but
Okay.
I'm definitely open to that.
Okay. Commissioner Johnson, you had something?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I do appreciate, I guess, a collaborative approach on these items. I know we've had these discussions on both of these items for a while, but I do appreciate when maybe someone from the outside, I don't know who made the recommendation, can kind of like, well, hey, why don't y'all think about this? And I do appreciate us being able to consider that alternative. So I need to read through all this and make sure I'm understanding it all, but I am appreciative that, again, we're trying to make sure we're still meeting the goals, but making sure we're also doing it in a way that makes sense. And I think these policy statements, I know this is something new that we're trying, but I think that will help us as commissioners moving forward on our policy items, not get into the weeds on day-to-day things, or maybe misstep or misspeak in a policy when we don't know the day-to-day operations of whatever it is the policy might be governing. So I do appreciate this approach. I think it is a good way to move forward just in general. And again, I'm just grateful for the collaborative effort on these items.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Commissioner Davis Johnson?
Okay, thank you, and I wanted to say thank you,
Yes, ma'am.
Chief, for your assistance and guidance on this, and I'm assuming that this is something that would not negatively affect the morale of the police department. You all have done a great job in DeKalb. You're not perfect, but you're almost there. And so, and my philosophy, if it's not broken, it doesn't need to be fixed. But it doesn't mean that additions cannot be added. And so I appreciate it. I'm like Commissioner Johnson, I'd like to get a chance to read it, but I like the policy position in this, and so I appreciate your work on it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioner Patrick, did you have anything?
Oh, and then I did
go ahead.
one other thing. I think that, did you say that this was not complete, or did you say it was not complete, or is this complete? Is this something that we can vote on Tuesday, or?
So, right, you may want to spend time on it just because it's your first time seeing it. But as the chief has laid out, these are certainly our thoughts, and it, through the guiding pillars, it certainly articulates how we will do policing in DeKalb County. But it's your first time seeing it, so.
I mean, but it's a one-pager.
Yeah, it doesn't take long to read.
So.
And Commissioner Davis Johnson and Commissioner Johnson, I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on what was shared with me. One of the folks who came and spoke with respect to these items, who identifies with the LGBTQ plus community, recommended or suggested or offered themselves up to be a liaison because they're currently identify with the community, serve in different capacities with various organizations, very integrated in what that community needs and wants to see and would like to work closely with the police department to share and facilitate that information. So as opposed to having a police officer get trained and try to learn what the culture and needs are, having someone directly out of that community serve in that capacity, and to formalize it, create essentially a committee of liaisons from the community. So with what we're seeing with ICE, if we had someone from our immigrants and or Hispanic community to serve as that liaison to say, this is what we're experiencing, this is the support we need, whether it's even asking us to advocate at the state level for some things or, directly with our police department. But those were just some of the conversations that were had where community members would like to serve as liaisons, but on a formal board where they can get and I keep forgetting, what is the training, Ted? Oh, the Citizens, say it one more time. The Police Citizens Academy training, and act as an ambassador essentially between the police department and the communities that they seek to serve. But that's where that came from. So essentially marrying those two resolutions. Go ahead, Commissioner. Is your microphone on?
Yeah, I have another question because I think those are one of the things that I asked early on about what representatives do you have from the various diverse communities pertaining to a coalition or a board or something like that.
Do you mean departmentally employed with us?
Yes.
I mean, there are various members of multiple communities, be it cultural or otherwise, that are members of the department. I don't have the data in front of me, but I can research that. But we do have members of the department that represent the broader community.
Yeah. So you're saying, are you saying someone outside of the police department? And if so, exactly, I mean, if you got someone within the police department, you're saying someone outside of the police department, and what would their role be? I mean, would you have an outsider advocate for changes in the police department? I mean, you can only have so much training.
Right.
If you're not a part of the organization itself. So, I don't have any problem, but I would like for you to identify what role that organization would have when you've already identified different segments within the police department that represent and have knowledge of the communities that they represent.
Absolutely.
And may be a part of that community.
Right. So it's not by any means replacing the support and training that we already have in the police department. What it's doing is reducing the additional responsibility of having individual police officers take on liaison roles. That was some concern, and a specific example with the LGBTQ plus liaison. Chief, did an unofficial poll where he had difficulty identifying an officer who would consider being the liaison because of the pressure of, well, I'm not going to make that assumption, but he had some difficulty identifying someone who would be willing to take on that liaison role. So as an alternative, identifying a community member that would be appointed, identifying a community member who already had those relationships, understood the culture and the needs intimately, but giving them additional training with how the police department operates would give them the tools to advocate for the community, but also be an ambassador for the police department. So they're not necessarily advocating for any changes in the police department, But what they will be able to do is keep the police department informed on what those communities are experiencing, bring it to their attention so that they can prepare pathways or resources or whatever is needed in order to better support the community. Commissioner Terry.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for working to help get some consensus and compromise, because I think we all agree that we want a police department that truly represents the community, is diverse in thought, opinion, but is representing the community. And so I think, what Chief Pedrick, CEO Williams, Director Fulham have done with this joint policy statement is capturing the essence of what we want the vision to be. And I appreciate the discussion about kind of how we might operationalize that. So I am excited about sort of what y'all come up with. I think the basic notion of adopting this policy statement as a substitute for my resolution would get us all on sort of the vision page. We're all good with where we want to go. And then leave it up to the DeKalb Police Department on how strategically you could implement that.
Yes.
And so whether it's, like Commissioner Bolton was saying, is it going to be community liaisons? I still might submit that if you put out a posting for, police liaison positions, I bet people would apply for them if there's not a current officer. But again, that's in the weeds. Like, I don't want to micromanage. I don't need to get involved in the day-to-day. I mean, y'all know what you're doing. You understand the capacity and capabilities of what you have and where you want to go. So, Madam Chair, I'm comfortable with this joint policy statement basically sort of becoming the merging of those two resolutions, where we can move forward as a board to state our policy. And then I might just suggest that if Chief's willing to sort of accept a friendly amendment to this policy document that says like within 6 months or 180 days or something, yes, kind of come back with a little bit more of a strategic approach. Yes, and then just, as it goes forward, come back to the ERPS committee and say, here's what we've done and here's what we're doing, and, keep us posted. But I think the core policy statement is good. You've captured everything. So I'm comfortable moving forward with this. Whether the committee wants to think about it for a week or two, totally fine. And then, when it comes to the full board, I'll be happy to support, what you've provided us, and keep things moving forward. Thank you.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, I did. So based on what Commissioner Terry was just saying, I just wanted to confirm that ultimate thought is that this policy statement will replace these two agenda items. So we'll come back with a new agenda item. Or might a substitute.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I don't know if the clerks or staff can maybe advise us. I was thinking in my mind maybe we would just substitute one and withdraw the other just to keep it clean.
Okay.
If that works. Okay, Marcus said yes.
Understood. And before we make a motion, and I know I do see Commissioner Patrick had a question, but I was just curious, are we thinking like a 2-week deferral is enough time?
Right, I was going to ask that as well from central staff, or I'm not sure who is going to codify this statement. About how much time, COO or Marcus or someone?
Right. We could have it in agenda form by Friday.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that?
We could have it in a form ready for you to vote by this Friday. So if your motion were to approve this and recommend to the board, you would have the substitute item in time.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Johnson. I'm sorry. Well, go ahead, Commissioner Davis Johnson.
Okay, yeah, I'm the member. So.
We look so similar, it's easy to get confused as well, so I get it.
Yeah, so I'm good with that. If they have if they would have the agenda item by Friday, then I would move, after his comment, I would move to go forward with approval of this pending the agenda item for Tuesday.
Commissioner Patrick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm going to hop around a little bit. My other agenda item is 2024-1233, and I know there had been some discussions going back and forth. Is this type of a solution something that maybe the administration might be more comfortable with. And I'm just putting that out there for thought because I know we're going to come back to it, but opening the door if there's a way that, because this seems to address a lot of the concerns that I have, which is making sure we have an appropriate policy for working with homeless folks when law enforcement is involved. And so if this is a template that could also be used on my item, I'd really need to
Yes, sir. We
open
could
the
draw
door.
up something like that
Okay.
as well.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Wonderful. Any other questions or comments from commissioners and committee members? All right, do we have a motion?
Yeah. I have a motion, I make a motion that, that 1107 and 0390 be withdrawn and replaced with an agenda item specifying the policy as written here.
With the friendly amendment about the time.
With the friendly amendment about the time. And be approved. Is that?
Just restate how.
Yeah, everything's I agree to everything you said. I think we want to just substitute
One of the items.
the first one, and then we'll withdraw the second one.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That sounds good.
So your motion is to substitute 1107?
Yeah, 1107, substitute 1107 with this policy. And we'd have to come back and make another motion for the withdrawal, right? Okay.
Yeah, a separate
So,
motion, yes.
yeah, so that is with the new agenda item substituted for 1107.
I second that motion.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Recommendation for approval. And we're going to go ahead and make a motion for 0390 as well.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I got it. I move to withdraw agenda item ending in 0390.
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. All right. I'm excited to have moved through that. Now we have more time to discuss District 1 items, and Commissioner Patrick already initiated part of that discussion for item 2024-1233, all commission districts. A resolution, I went back up to District 1. A resolution asking for the DeKalb County Police Department to develop a diversion policy regarding unhoused individuals that considers other options to arresting and jailing them. And can you just reiterate what you were requesting before?
So I guess we had gone through and it had something that could be approved, and then there was some additional discussion and there were some changes. And I think we still have those changes before us, but unless you guys are prepared to move forward with what you've already talked about the last time, the solution that you came up with for Commissioner Terry's item seems pretty elegant, and also a way that can easily include some of the concerns on making sure homeless folks are treated fairly, handled appropriately within the regular operations of the police department. And so if there was a way to
Yes, sir.
take my concerns from 1233 and somehow put them into a joint policy statement, I think that might be a winner of a solution, and we can get this item off the agenda and then have something that y'all can operate in the field with.
Yes, sir. We'll get that done.
Okay.
Okay, and about how much time do you think? You're looking to have something by,
By Friday?
By this Friday.
Okay.
We have language that we'll be able to put in there that accomplishes.
okay, and for us to review a couple of days
Friday.
before Tuesday, okay. By Friday. All right, is there any more discussion on that item? Did you?
So we just handle this as a substitute? When
Right.
it comes up on Tuesday, depending on what the language is?
That's what I'm anticipating.
So we would,
I think you would withdraw this item, Commissioner Patrick,
That's
because this new policy statement would replace that. It would incorporate the intent there, just like it did in.
So fold it into this item?
I think that's what we're talking about.
That's what we're looking for. Okay. Okay. Once we see the language. Okay.
so
Sounds
for
good.
the agenda item ending in 1233, is there any action we should take at this moment? Or just keep that item on the agenda for now?
Perhaps just hold it?
Yeah.
No recommendation, and then possibly withdraw it Tuesday. And if it's not appropriate, then we can come back and rework it again.
Okay. For clarity, you want us to hold this in committee, or you want us to move it forward without a recommendation for the
Move it
full
forward
board?
without a recommendation. I think
Okay.
that would be appropriate for now. And if we have to pull it back, then we pull it back.
Gotcha. Do we have a motion?
Yes, I move to advance item ending in 1233 to the full committee.
The sub, oh, it's not a sub.
It's not a sub yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
shoot.
Okay, I second.
Thank you.
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Recommendation carries to full committee with no recommendation. All right, and the last item that we will be thank you, Chief. The last item that we will be discussing is item 2025-0683, all commission districts, to approve a resolution to address egregious littering and the illegal dumping of scrap tires. And we have Mr. Allen here to discuss with us a substitute for this item.
Yes, good afternoon to the ERPS Committee, to all commissioners present. Yes, Madam Chair, thank you for this brief moment to provide the substitute agenda item that has been drafted for you all. And of course, the sponsor of this legislation is Commissioner Patrick. So the substitute you have in front of you is to consider adoption of a joint policy statement of the governing authority of DeKalb County to address the chronic issue of illegal scrap tire dumping. The last time we had a discussion in committee, we went into a full presentation on some of the innate issues or challenges that we've been presented with for a number of years as a county, and some of the great work that our governing authority is doing to address this issue collaboratively and with many of our stakeholders out in the community, as well as our other local partners at the city, other counties, and state level. So you all are well aware of some of those recommendations and some of those discussions. Now, what you have in front of you is, again, kind of going with the theme of moving forward with joint guiding principles that this board can get ahead of when we discuss commissioner-specific legislation that has specific recommendations to the administration. What this is a joint policy statement to address the chronic issue of illegal scrap tire dumping. So your second page here goes into the full policy statement itself, and I'll just read it to you because it's pretty brief. The governing authority is committed to a clean, safe, and healthy environment for all residents. To move from a reactive cleanup posture to a proactive prevention model, we hereby establish the following 3 pillars. 1, a united front on legislative advocacy. So the county will work to ensure that local ordinances and policies reflect the most effective practices for deterring environmental crimes. We remain committed to partnering with state leaders to advocate for legislative frameworks that provide local governments with the necessary tools to address large-scale illegal dumping and protect the public health and safety of our community. Additionally, the county will continue to promote intergovernmental coordination with relevant state and federal partners to bring these partners to the table and conduct in dialogue around proposed solutions. So that's point 1. Point 2, strategic resource allocation. We pledge to align county resources and expertise to proactively address environmental blight and restore affected areas. By prioritizing the efficient use of personnel and technology, we will support continuous abatement efforts and explore innovative, sustainable solutions that transform environmental challenges into long-term infrastructure benefits for our residents. And then point number 3 is about enhancing accountability and stakeholder collaboration. The county will foster a culture of shared responsibility by strengthening collaboration between government agencies, the business community, and our residents. We will promote transparency and compliance through enhanced communication and streamlined reporting, ensuring that all stakeholders are empowered to participate in the responsible stewardship of DeKalb County's environment. So again, that's the policy statement as drafted and written. I would like your initial thoughts on this, and if you are in favor, we can move forward with this apparatus. And the strategy is that we adopt this policy, but there will be continuing conversations, from an administrative level, from a department level, that hones into some of the specific programs, objectives, and strategies that have been discussed overall, right? So there's been a number of ways to address tires and a number of ways that tires are being addressed in this county. You all are aware of the many great initiatives that are already taking place, the conversations that the CEO has had with the media and with the community, and how that is all moving forward. So what this does is kind of binds that in a full foundational statement first. Here's what we want to accomplish from a broad level overview, and everything that happens under that from the individual pieces of movement that frankly need to happen, we'll be able to do so in a clean fashion. So following the same framework that has been discussed earlier today.
And thank you for that. We appreciate that. Your presentation and the end of the year ERPS meeting, though we didn't get through everything, it was very informative, and I appreciate that you went to each of us and had conversations about things that we wanted to see. But just to clarify, with this policy statement, will there need to be another action out of the board in order to implement some of those individual strategies that we're putting in place?
Sure, that's a great question. So I would like to get a little bit of follow-up from COO on this, but what I'm thinking is that as specific funding is put in place, or as specific programs are implemented and considered by the administration will also bring forward specific pieces of legislation for you all to vote on, right? So if there's specific programs and initiatives that are being undertaken, if it is under the purview to ask for funding for that, I can certainly see the board having a posture in that. Additionally, if we need to have any, not necessarily ad hoc committees, but any individual conversations with commissioners to get your input on some of the legislation or some of the policies that are being proposed from an administrative level, I can also see the board getting involved in that. But for the most part, a lot of the research has been done, a lot of the conversations have been had, and I think that what this statement does is provides kind of a collaborative mindset that we can all utilize moving forward to address this issue, right?
And I know my committee members have questions too, but I just want to make sure that with this statement, we're preserving the things that were already presented and that have been discussed in previous meetings, whether one-on-one or in committee, that those requests are being preserved under this statement.
That's a great question. Now, there's no specific objectives within these statements. That's the caveat.
Okay.
So in full transparency, if there are, and there's, that's also a positive, right? So let's say, for instance, a policy may have been proposed by the board and it wasn't feasible for whatever reason. It could have been legally infeasible, or maybe cost too much, or, different challenges could arise from specific policies. This does not bind the governing authority to a set solution. However, what it does do, again, sets the mindset. And what I can tell you is that a number of the things that have been discussed are being implemented.
Okay.
And that's why I would like to bring the COO up to talk about that as time goes on and, those things are implemented. But I do know the CEO is kind of planning, some objective solutions to this, and many of those things will encompass what has already been discussed.
Okay. And Commissioner Davis Johnson, I know you had something.
Yeah, so I don't have a problem with the policy approach on this, but Marcus, I don't remember having a discussion with you on this.
So, Commissioner, with this particular joint policy statement, it's very, very fresh. This week it's been developed, so if you would like to take some time back and we can discuss. Yeah.
All I heard, she said that you discussed it with everyone. And
right.
Okay.
So
I mean,
what has been
this is-
discussed with you all is all the research,
Right.
all the things that, we've presented to committee, that's been discussed with
Okay.
everyone, the same exact information. What has been discussed with every single person, every single commissioner up to this point is this particular one-page document.
Okay.
Right.
And so, my question, like I said, I don't have any problems with the policy, but it's my understanding that, can we do legislation in the county to address tire dumping within the county, as well as any type of legislation that the administration may want to submit for the state in its regulation? Because I'm telling you, policy is fine,
Right.
but I would think that we would need some type of legislation with penalties.
Right.
That if you do this in DeKalb County, this is the repercussions behind it.
Yes, ma'am.
And so that's my question.
Sure.
Is legislation from the county, and I know that Commissioner Patrick had presented some legislation on tire dumping.
Right.
Can we get something for the county on that in addition to this policy statement?
I think that would be a very wise strategy. To answer your question about what the board can do, there are a number of actions that can be taken. This is just another yes and to the conversation. There's code amendments that can be made. There are resolutions that can be voted on and passed by you all, as well as in your state legislative
and I
agenda.
hate to cut you off, but I'm not talking about resolutions. I'm talking about legislation.
Yep.
Or ordinance
Yep.
that we can vote on.
Yep.
In DeKalb County, which would include penalties for A, B, and C if you do this, because a resolution nor a policy
It's binding.
will provide penalties for the illegal dumping that is occurring and is substantial.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would like to see some legislation
Yep.
put forth, as well as this policy position for DeKalb County.
Understood. Yes, ma'am. Amending your code, drafting ordinances, writing ordinances, that is absolutely one of your enumerated powers. Staff is more
Yeah,
than
that's
happy.
what I'm asking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Will the county have the authority to provide an ordinance that could regulate illegal dumping in DeKalb County?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay,
We can discuss that further.
okay.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am. Thank you.
I'm gonna tell y'all my position. I would rather this be a separate item and not a substitute. I feel like it takes away, not necessarily our authority, but it doesn't necessarily align with what it seems to be the goal of what you were trying to do. I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I want to be able to tell my residents that there are consequences to folks dumping tires, because we, like you say, we're into legislation and not, we don't do policy statements.
So
Go ahead, Commissioner.
the legislation or the conversation we had at committee when we were up at the Maloof building, Marcus had gone into some great detail, and I think we only got about halfway through the presentation. But I think the approach that he was coming down with was more of a prescriptive, light item by light item approach. And I think some of those changes were more of a policy, as in within the CEO's realm, requiring X amount of items to be submitted when you're turning in your business license application. And so I think what I have understood is the idea is perhaps have this policy statement put in place that says these are the objectives that we're reaching towards. But I also hear what you're saying, that there's a desire to have something solid and material to be able to tell the residents we did this. So perhaps there's a way that, one, we can get an understanding of what the scope of these, what the prescriptive components we talked about, how that interrelates with what's been presented today. And then also see if we can get perhaps quarterly feedback updates, as in central staff came up with a list of A through Z of items that need to be addressed. Administration has done A through E as of this point, and then the rest of the alphabet as we go through time. That's my understanding of what's being asked. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. Let's keep it on the table and move forward with that.
Okay. So I guess to Commissioner Bolton's idea, though, of, it sounds like almost like both. Let's have some time to consider this. Let's also, if you have a chance to share with us some of the prescriptive ideas that were suggested, and then that way the commissioners have an idea as to where we're anticipating to go. And then I know CEO under Zach, or with Zach, is going to have her own input on this, and it may exceed sort of some of the things that have been contemplated from central staff's perspective. But there's a way to show that we're getting a win while working on the collaborative aspects of this. That's what I got from our conversation yesterday. Is that, Zach, do you have any insights on that?
Yes, I'd love the opportunity to spend a little more time looking at the prescriptive things that Marcus and the team have put together. I mean, we've had conversation and it looked good, but there are some specific ideas that we have began to pursue. A question that was asked earlier, which really was, what would the board vote on, or would we be bringing things back? It will necessarily require some board action for some of the things we're looking at. If we have meaningful public-private partnerships with recyclers and things like that, those are the types of things that we would want to be, well, it would require a vote because it'd be a contract. If we were to look at the receiving of tires at the landfill, maybe allowing for an increased number of tires free of charge, those types of things, that would require board approval. So I think we have the makings of a policy that will, take us pretty far. And under the policy, you will have some specific activities, such as a recycler, such as looking at how do we allow for the public to bring in tires. What we're not able to do is change the fines, but that's something that we're working with the state on. So all of those type of things are kind of in the policy document.
Mm-hmm. And that covers, to speak to that point of yours of talking with the folks at the state, we need the legislature to be able to say, if you've become egregious, you're no longer a misdemeanor municipal or civil court, you're going for criminal at that point.
And that's something I believe that's in our legislative package, right?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Before I come to you, did you have something, Commissioner Johnson? Okay, so I'll have Commissioner Davis Johnson, and then I'll get you.
And so, Zach, are you saying that we already have penalties for it? I understand that you said we cannot increase.
It is I'm playing attorney here, but it's my understanding that locally we're not able to increase the fines that are charged in state court. Clearly, in my estimation, and probably everyone's estimation, right now people are not sufficiently deterred from dumping. Whether it's they just don't think they'll get caught, or the fines are not significant enough. I don't know specifically what it is, but something is not working. So,
okay, so can I, as legal, to come up next to, maybe I get an answer with both of y'all standing there. So, is there A, is there an ordinance in DeKalb County now that deals with illegal dumping?
There are ordinances that can be used to deal with illegal dumping, clearly.
But it's not one that specifically identifies.
I would have to look at the code to see what the language is. I am confident, just stating in my place, we have ordinances to address those kinds of issues. Between state law and ordinances, it can be addressed, but I can't tell you specifically what the language is.
Okay, but it would be nothing to preclude us if there is nothing specifically addressing, if there's no specific ordinance addressing tie dumping in DeKalb County, would there be anything that would preclude us from presenting legislation in the county to regulate that just so it's consistent with or does not exceed state regulation?
We'd look at the specific language that you are considering as a body in passing. If you want to pass an ordinance that expressly addresses tire dumping or any specific issue, we would look and research to make sure the language you agree to doesn't violate any prohibitions through preemption or anything like that in state law.
Okay.
But we'd have to see the exact language in order to make that comparison.
Okay, and my last question is, so you could have the policy enacted as well as the legislation?
Yes, this board making a policy statement states the county's position as identified by this body, and that is certainly permissible.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Commissioner Terry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I do agree with my colleagues regarding the joint policy statement, Marcus. Whereas the earlier item, I think, made sense because it was a policy statement that reflected mostly an operational activity of a department that is under the CEO's control. But on this issue, there are existing ordinances. And so the posture, in my opinion, should be to amend those ordinances. And I will, again, point out that when you sent the policy memo back in October, I took 2 days. I didn't take a full 2 days, but over 2 days. And I sent this at Sunday at 10:36 a.m. Mm-hmm. So I finished watching CBS Sunday morning. Mm-hmm. I got inspired, and I went ahead and read it, and then proposed amendments to the ordinance. Because while last year we did a lot about let's go pick up tires, and I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars, Zach, we touted we're going to pick up tires, but we still haven't done anything to stop the tires from being dumped in the first place. And the thing that no one is talking about, which I'm still shocked that it's so apparent to me. The code was written 20 years ago, and it says the Public Works Director is in charge of maintaining the tire manifest. Mm-hmm. And keeping the database of scrap tire generators. I talked to Director Lemke, our former Public Works Director. As long as he has been here, he's never dealt with that issue ever. So let's just acknowledge that the code exists and we're not even enforcing it. The Public Works Director has nothing to do with the auto repair shops, the other scrap tire generators who are supposed to be keeping track. No one's auditing them. Mm-hmm. No one's checking in on them. And so my solution was very simple. Delete Public Works Director and insert Code Compliance Director. The law department has had this. The administration has had this. I mean, y'all got to work with us here, because this conversation is what we had in October, in November, and I guess we didn't talk about in December. But we're just talking about the same thing over and over again. So I need y'all to focus on solutions, okay? If the Public Works Director is not doing what the ordinance is mandating they do, Either we should have to ask the Public Works Director, can you do this? If not, who can do it? I propose the Co-Compliance Director. The Co-Compliance Director is in charge of the Video Surveillance Ordinance Regulation. That is a complex series of inspections, tracking databases, who's in compliance. Let's use that system and replicate it for all of the scrap tire generators. In theory, and again, like I'm happy to hear from Marcus and anyone else who's an expert on this, in theory, if we're keeping track of all the tires that are scrap tires, and we have a list and we can audit lists, and we find a tire out there on the side of the road, and we got a serial number, and we know that that serial number came from this auto repair shop because we required them finally to do their manifest. Well, how did that tire from your shop get on this roadway or in this creek? And now, to Commissioner Patrick's point, in that business license renewal, you ain't getting a business license renewed until you comply with the code that already exists. So we don't need to change anything other than just, one, enforce the code, but acknowledge that the Public Works Director ain't doing it. So let's figure out if that's going to work, if they need to do it, or if someone else can do it. I will celebrate the fact that DeKalb County Police over the holidays, through the use of flock cameras, identified a persistent dumper in Scottdale on Proctor Avenue that for 2 years had been dumping tires, household items, just everywhere on basically a street that didn't have any houses on it. And I think it was Lieutenant Robert Robertson literally kind of staked it out, and they caught the guy. They arrested him. So, you know, the current flock system in terms of just where the high priority dumping areas are, and I want to appreciate Commissioner Patrick on this because he has been advocating for more flexible flock camera trailers. And so we should be like nimble to say, here's where there's repeated dump sites. Maybe we don't need a full fixed pole camera, but maybe we need something where we know it's happening over and over again. Let's see if we can catch someone in the act. And then that way we're enforcing it. Finally, I will say that the discussion about our limit of what the fine is forgetting the fact that anything over that $1,000, and I believe it is over 500 pounds, is a felony. That's the district attorney. So we spent all of our time talking about things we can't do because it's in state court, because it's a code violation, but the vast majority of these dump sites are over 500 pounds, so they're felonies. And we haven't talked to the DA at all about how she might address this issue. I will say, though, that I do not support incarceration as the solution. I don't think that arresting people and fining them $25,000 and 5 years imprisonment is actually the solution. I'm assuming that the people doing this are doing it because it's their job. It's off the books. Let's be clear, they're probably getting paid cash. The guy who got caught was renting a U-Haul truck. That's how we got him. License plate, U-Haul, went to the dealer. We got who rented it, right? But it was a 59-year-old man. I mean, I don't think he was a criminal mastermind. I think he was just doing odd jobs in the neighborhood. So we need to take a restorative justice approach to this. And so if we do end up being much more aggressive on enforcement, let's think about how we don't perpetuate the cycle of prison, in and out of prison, recidivism. Let's do restorative justice modeling. We've heard from Mr. Kenna that the EPD certification to be a licensed hauler is actually a really good job. It's a very coveted position. So let's think about getting more local folks licensed, and they can maybe do some cleanup for us.
Thank you, Commissioner Terry. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Commissioner Johnson, you have something?
I actually wanted to make sure Commissioner Patrick was complete with his thoughts since he was the one who introduced this.
Yeah, thank you. I guess what I would suggest is let's have time to consider this joint policy statement. Let's defer for a short time frame, 0683. We can understand or perhaps Marcus can reach out to us individually and sort of talk about the prescriptive components that his research and the rest of his team has come up with. That then gives the administration time to come back to us and say, this is what we're already looking at. We acknowledge whatever has been uncovered from central staff, but we're working in this direction here that contemplates what they've already suggested or what they're considering as solutions to the problem. That way, that gives time for central staff, administration to come back to us, and we get a sort of a fuller understanding of what the proposed recommendation solutions are going to be. But then we can also see where the administration is moving in that direction. That would be my recommendation. I don't know what would be the appropriate time to defer 0683, but then also give it time for this to perhaps be introduced as its own standalone policy resolution. Does that
Yes.
make sense to folks?
Can you restate that last part? You said to consider making this, it's what now?
Standalone.
Consider making this policy proposal its own standalone agenda item?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, does that?
Yes,
Does that make
I
sense?
would love to see that as separate because components of this was specifically legislation, even though we talked about policy. So I wouldn't want to impede the legislation in an attempt to incorporate the policy.
Okay.
Right.
Go ahead, Commissioner Johnson.
So I appreciate that, Commissioner Patrick, with you being the author of the original legislation. I think that holding this off for a couple more weeks, I think, is good. And then looking back at what the original ordinances, amendment to the ordinances in front of us, where it does talk about some fine additions. So just want to make sure that the language that was presented prior to the substitute, can that be enforced? Can that be amended? Do we need to revisit this language as well? So I feel like we're not there yet on this one, but I'm on board with probably the two items, the policy, as well as making sure we're still pushing forward with legislation as we need to be pushing forward legislation. And then I think there was mention of making sure that we're getting updates on a regular basis on this overall issue and how it's moving forward. What is the next step? What are the next things that need to come forward to us? Because I feel like it's not going to be, yes, the one policy, but then it's probably going to be lots of pieces, parts in the future.
Correct. And so that's where, if these two items are moving together through committee and then eventually to the BOC, we can get updates from central staff on their prescriptive approach. We can also get updates from the administration on where they are in actually implementing things, because that's going to be another component that tends to be beyond our scope, which is what's the staffing going to be? What's the timeframes for getting this enforced? How are we going to get out notifications to all the different tire operators within the county to say, you need to turn in your manifests for tires received, manifests for tires that have been picked up. Oh, by the way, the hauler, we need you to turn in your manifest to confirm that you've received as well as dropped off in the right place. And I think that, as I understand, may be some of what the time components are being considered with this discussion. Is that?
May I respond?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, to several of your comments, going back to Commissioner Terry as well. Without getting too far into the weeds, staff is prepared, more than prepared, to provide you all with different language that addresses some teeth we can put in this. If you would like to see that in the form of an ordinance, we can draft that up, have that to you relatively quickly this week. It's my initial thought.
Well, if I may interrupt for 1 second, Madam Chair. Technically speaking, you didn't finish the second half of your initial presentation for the committee. So that's the first point. And I think if we have that second component, or we have that prescriptive elements that you've put forward, the board will have an understanding of, we don't know in detail where we're going, but we know a general direction of this is the path to improvement that's being contemplated. And then again, have the administration come back and say, we saw these things, we found other concerns.
Right.
And this is what we're doing.
Yes.
To address that. Does that sound reasonable to everybody?
Yes.
Yes, it does. Commissioner Davis Johnson.
Yeah, I'm pretty much. Yeah, I'm pretty much with Commissioner Bolton. I would not like to impede legislation to deal with the policy aspect of that, because not only would it have to be drafted, it would have to go through several channels, especially legal, to make sure that it's something that we can do. So I would like to treat this separate. Now, I know that Commissioner Patrick has legislation that he's dealing with the state. I would like to see legislation for the county,
Right.
so that if the state does not pass anything in this session, we would at least be prepared to pass something for the county. So I like what Commissioner Bolton stated, that this policy be separate so that we can continue with local legislation. And if we need to abandon it because the state passed something, fine. But I would like for us to be on the path so we are controlling this. And if people get jailed for it, I'm fine. I mean, if the county says that it's legal, because people know, I mean, this is affecting communities, you know, and people should be aware that if you do this, you can be jailed. So I don't have any problem with that. People make choices.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, so I'd like to move forth with my version of my legislation while this is going forward.
Okay, and we are at time, so I know Commissioner Johnson and Terry, you guys had brief comments?
No, I don't have brief comments. I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay.
Just very briefly, Madam Chair. So I think everyone's all saying the same thing. I think Marcus made a great suggestion. Just go ahead and start redlining the existing code. To be honest, he already did it, and there was hardly any changes, which is why I'm going to come back to the fundamental issue of, is the code actually being enforced as it is? Zach, you got to just ask the question. I see Director Allen back there. Does she want to be in charge of this, or does another department? We got to know that, because if not, that we need to change that in the ordinance. But if the Public Works Director is not going to be in charge of this, we should change it to put who's in charge. Because everything else, to be quite honest, is just enforcement. There's nothing else legislatively to do other than to just enforce the existing code.
Go ahead.
And I think it's rightfully suited under Public Works, and understand Public Works has several divisions, so it may rest in sanitation in Public Works, but Public Works as a department, I think it's right suited. It's in the right place.
So at this time, I make a motion to defer item ending in 0683 until the January 27th meeting with the prior stop in ERPS. Well, right now, that's a substitute that we haven't completely accepted.
That's not a substitute.
They would have to bring forward a separate item, so I don't know that I need to defer that.
Sure. So what I'm understanding is that the committee is not accepting the substitute that was provided, that was the framework that's in front of you. So instead, what we are excited to do is provide a separate agenda item for that contemplates that. And again, to all of your other points, provide as a update to Commissioner Patrick's original legislation, just simply what we can do from an ordinance perspective to immediately take action that considers all of the points being made today and bring that back to the ERPS committee for all of your collective input, and then we'll move forward with that strategy. I'm glad we're having this conversation, and again, this is the conversation I hoped we would have, because frankly, staff, to Commissioner Terry's point, we've done quite a bit of research on this, and this would help also include all of the main inputs from commissioners that have been discussed. So we have all that in front of us, and in the meantime, staff will work to meet with all of you individually.
Thank you.
Second. I haven't gotten a second.
Go ahead and make your second.
I'd like to second that, and I want to become a co-sponsor of this legislation that's coming forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Before I ask for all in favor, I want to just clarify with legal, because we are not accepting the substitute, we don't have to do anything with it at all. We can just make the motion for the original item, the deferral for the original item, without doing anything with the substitute. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Just clarifying. And that's what you did. The motion was for the original item.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Okay.
And I second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries as recommendation for deferral.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Are we ready for a motion to adjourn?
Yep. Ready for a motion to adjourn.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
PWI in 10 minutes.